Powers Lost and Stolen. Dana writes me. She says, emotionally, I have survival and trust fears up right now, and I feel as if I have decided to take my whole life and jump off a cliff, and I honestly don't know if I will end up somewhere better or if I will just end up broken and battered at the bottom. When I look intuitively at Dana's situation and check with her guides, the first thing that comes up is a throat chakra activation. Many women have blocks to their throat chakra. The chakra, which located in the throat, is connected to the voice, to speaking your truth. And from what Dana has told me, this has been really hard in her family. When she was a child, she tended to talk back to her teachers and parents, to say things they didn't like or want to hear, and she got in trouble for it. She argued on behalf of another student who was unfairly treated and was being told by her teachers and adults that it was none of her business and to stop. And when she insisted, she was suspended. Having been punished and criticized for things that she did naturally, Dana couldn't remember much about herself that she liked as a child, for she had grown up being told she was wrong, too outspoken, too bossy, too much, and that was a bad thing. It struck me that, like Dana, many of us have grown up feeling devalued because we are surrounded by people who can't see us. Her parents and teachers weren't malicious in shutting her down, but nevertheless, they caused a deep wound. If the only reflections you see of yourself are ones that demean and criticize you, or attempt to erase and minimize you, then you will internalize those values and hide, minimize, criticize, and devalue those parts of yourself that those around you have said are undesirable. You learn to measure your worth by being acceptable in other people's eyes, and you spend your life as an adult seeking approval from phantoms who are unlikely to ever give it. It strikes me that this creates a kind of psychological mayhem. Mayhem involves the needless and willful damage, violence, crippling, mutilation, deprivation of bodily parts which render a person unable to defend themselves or fight back. Psychological mayhem, in Dana's case, has not rendered her defenseless exactly, but it has silenced her. In seeing and judging herself through the values of her parents and teachers, she learned to measure herself with the wrong ruler. Emotionally battered and broken at the bottom is an apt description of the values that misname, distort, and demean her best qualities. To heal emotionally, and I suspect physically, she needs to be able to see and value herself on her own terms. She needs to imagine that someone else is on her side and wants her to flourish on her own terms. By Dana's parents' values, a little girl who is willing to say things that adults don't want to hear is impolite, too opinionated, disobedient. But I would call her a truth teller who has been wounded into silence by those who prefer her to lie. In addition to the energetic work I do to help her clear and balance her throat chakra, I give her homework. I ask her to experiment with expressing her feelings aloud, starting with telling herself what she feels, wants, doesn't want, prefers. Given that she hasn't had the space to do this in her family growing up, this may be hard for her to do. She doesn't initially have to tell anyone else how she's feeling. What she needs to do is be able to hear her say in her own voice what she feels and what she needs. She is her first and most important audience. Using her voice, her physical voice, is the means by which she can start to befriend a part of herself that was silenced. We have forgotten or lost our powers. not because they don't exist, but because we don't recognize them, or we haven't learned how to use the powers that we possess. Using your voice to speak your truth and learning to express your true feelings aloud is one such power. And she also needs to imagine, daydream, fantasize about a life where she gets to do what she wants, even if it's things other people wouldn't understand or approve of. We often underestimate and underutilize the power of our imaginations to create change. Early on, we get convinced that reality is how our parents or how our teachers or those around us tell us it is. We accept others' limited perceptions as the way things are. We all have incredible powers within us that have been stolen from us by ignorance. What if we entertained and sustained a vision of the world where we are welcomed, valued, and loved for exactly who we are? This is a power we possess that could change us and transform the world as we know it. I'm Suzanne LaGrande, and you've been listening to The Shaman's Notebook. For more insights and adventures into healing, subscribe below and visit me at SuzanneLaGrande.com.